Hi everyone, it's Christina from Card Creations and More by C, and I am back with another video for you today. I know it's been a little while since my last video. I apologize. Video making isn't as natural for me. It usually requires that I kind of work out of order, and it's just different for me. I do enjoy making them for you, but for some reason I seem to struggle getting them done often enough. But I do appreciate all the nice comments that you all leave me regarding my videos. So I just purchased the Everyday Pop-Up Cards cartridge at Joann's this weekend because it was $29.99, and I haven't bought a new cartridge in a really long time, so I decided to go ahead and splurge on it. And anyway, there is a pop-up feature, but at this point in time I'm not even interested in playing around with that feature. I just think that the cuts are very adorable. Just to use the images as they are, and I'm going to show you real quickly. Get these out of the way. These are little kits I'm making up to work on at my craft club this weekend. But I want to show you two cards that I've already made using this cartridge. I ended up cutting out this elephant, and he's so cute. I love it. And I used a Scrappy Mom sentiment that says tons of thanks, and I went ahead and made that cute card, and I just love it. And then this butterfly on this cartridge is just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm making several cards like this, and for this one, to get it so shiny, the black layer, I ended up using enamel accents. But that was very time consuming and a pain, and then I realized that if I just put Versamark over the black layer and used my black embossing powder and do 3 coats of it, you get the raised up shiny effect that you do from the glossy enamel accents. So that's how I did the rest of them, and they look just as nice. But isn't that just the most beautiful butterfly ever? So anyway, I'm really enjoying the cartridge, and I wanted to go ahead and make up a card for you guys today. And this is going to be kind of an intricate scene card. And I'm going to go ahead and put the whole die cut together on camera too. So this video might be a little bit long. So if you have this cartridge and you're not interested in watching me put the die cut together, you can just kind of go ahead and skip through this part. But anyway, I designed this card in my Gypsy, and excuse me, we're going to be doing a 5x7 card, and I've got my card base, and I'm going to go ahead, it's 7 by 10 inches, and I scored it in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder. So that's our card base. This is white cardstock from Paper Tray Ink, so it's very sturdy. We'll go ahead and set that aside. Our main layer of the card is going to be this blue one, and it's actually just cut 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base front. So what we're going to do first, I guess, is we'll put together our little tree. That one's going to be the quick and easy one. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my Craft Bond glue that's in this little bottle. It has a nice strong hold, so, and I can get it onto small areas really easily. This weekend I have been crafting. I actually took a 3-day weekend off work just for fun. So today I'm going to get a little bit more crafting done. I've had several projects and cards to work on. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that layer down. And then I do want to do a little bit of inking on my green layers. So I'm not sure yet which color I'm going to use. Let me test this out on the piece that I cut from. This color here is Bamboo Leaves by Memento. Not sure what it would look like on there though. It does show up nicely, so I think we'll go ahead and use that one instead of the Stays On. I'll put that one away. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and just ink around the edges of our tree just to give it a little bit more definition, that's all. This here's the kind of inking that I enjoy doing. It's just to accent something. And I really love the Memento inks. I love the colors and the way that they go on and everything. And I've been getting them mostly at Joann's when they have them on sale. And then they run that coupon off and on where you can get 20% off of sale items. So I take advantage of that, and then I can pick them up for about $2 or $3 each. So you can't beat that. Okay, so that just gives the tree a little bit more character. So we'll set that aside. And then we're going to put together our house. And this is going to be very detailed. And I just wanted to put this together on camera just to kind of show you guys that in case you haven't ever put together a die cut that's this intricate, that you really don't have to, you know, be afraid of these cuts. They are quite detailed, but they're also not that hard to put together. I'm going to start with my Craft Bond pen in the place, or my Craft Bond glue bottle in the places that are going to be more detailed, and get that done first because it stays nice and wet longer. Just kind of put a little bit there. Okay, and then I think the rest of it I'm going to try just using my zig if I can get it to stay wet enough. It'll just be easier. Okay, now I cut this house at 2.5 inches. Alright, and I went ahead, the base layer I cut white because that's pretty much just for the windows. And I need to be very careful about lining this up right now, so I'm going to be quiet for a second. Good. And anyway, so I cut the base layer in white, and I wanted the main color of the house to be this light tan color. So now we have to go ahead and put all the rest of the pieces on here. So let's start with the big part of the garage. Now I wanted the trim color to be like the maroon color, and then the other accent color is just craft color. So we're going to go ahead and put the garage, this is like the main part of the garage door. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and put the brown, which is the other accent color, over top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Craft Bond on this because it's very small pieces. I don't like the zig to get all over the place. Okay, so just some little dots are good enough. And this one lines up right over top of the brown that's there. And this way, when you're looking at the house, you can see the two tones. Okay? And then the next thing I want to do is put this little roof piece on that goes over there. So we'll go ahead and use the zig. Okay? And go ahead and line that up. Try not to get too much off camera for you guys. Okay, so the little roof area is going to be maroon. Then we've got the other roof, which is very delicate. It's a very tiny, skinny little piece. So we're going to go ahead and just use the Elmer's on that, very light amounts going across it. It won't take much to hold this one down. And now we're going to line that up. Boy, that is very delicate. So you just have to be a little bit careful that you line it up well and don't end up actually ripping any of these small pieces. Okay, so now we've got the roof onto our main part of the house. And next I want to go ahead and put the door on. So I'm just going to use my Craft Bond glue for this. Okay. And this, I did not, what I did in my gypsy was I hid all of the contour, not like the window cutouts, but all the little dash marks that show you kind of where to place your objects. Went ahead and hid them because I find that it's a little bit annoying as long as you know where you're putting things. Put a little speckle of color on that paper. Okay, then it's easy enough to line them up without that. And then we have to do our windows. So I'm just going to use this very dainty amounts of glue because these are super tiny pieces. I give the Cricut a lot of credit for cutting pieces this tiny. I'm just going to go ahead and lay these down right over top of the windows. It's our little window frames and shutter pieces. Very tiny. So, like I said, these are quite delicate pieces that the Cricut cuts. Very impressive. And I'm going to line up the next one. Probably getting my head right in here. Sorry for that. So you just have to go along, and this one actually has a lot of layers, but it's such a realistic looking house that I couldn't pass it up. Basically what we're going to make would be like a congratulations on a new home kind of card. And we're going to turn it into a cute little outdoor scene. I think it's going to be a really nice card. It's probably going to end up being one of my favorites. And since I haven't done a video for you guys in a little while, I wanted to make it a really good one. Now, you probably, if you don't have a pair of tweezers at this point in your crafting life, I think you need to run right down to Michael's and get yourself a pair. They're not even that expensive, so even if you didn't have a coupon, it wouldn't be such a big expense, but you definitely want to have a pair of these. They're so handy. I got more stuff on it. What I'm using, if you get like little gray marks and stuff on your paper, you can use this pickup square. I got mine from Creative Memories, but other ones sell them too, so it just gets all that extra adhesive off. Okay, then we've got the chimney. Now this is the two-toned again with the brown and the craft, so I'm going to go ahead and put the main part of this chimney on. And then there's very intricate. There's the rest of the chimney with some little cutouts so it looks like it's brick so that it can be a two-toned chimney. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down over top of it. So it's going to look just like the garage door. You're going to see the two shades of brown. And got that. This house is turning out really nice. And then we just have to put our little window, the second color to our window shutters, which is also in brown. So I'm just going to keep using the craft bond glue because it comes out very small. And we just want to go ahead and lay this down over top of each of these windowsills. This looks so awesome. I'm really liking these colors too. Kind of realistic house colors. I know a lot of houses are like blue and greens, but I didn't want to use those colors because we'll be using them for the color of the card and the tree and everything, so I didn't want to have it clashing with the house. So we're almost done with the house, and even though this does have a lot of pieces, it's not that difficult to put together. And if you have a gypsy, I would just recommend hiding all the little dash marks because usually they end up getting in the way. And a lot of times if you line the cut up perfectly, you still see some of those lines. And that's what bugs me. I know everybody says that there's no such thing as perfect when you're hand making something, but just in general, I'm very meticulous about what I do, so I like things to look as neat as possible and be lined up well and all of that. So now we need to do our bushes. And I wanted to go ahead and ink these, even though they're very tiny. Hopefully I can just get a little bit of color onto them. Okay. So, just a little bit. We'll go ahead and get that put together. And these just kind of sit right down here in front of the house. So they're sort of attached to it. And they look really cool. Gives it a nice extra touch. Ink that up, give it some dimension. Okay, and we'll get it glued right on. And this comes over here to the other end of the house, which actually the house base is kind of cut out to include it. So there we have our cute little house, and I think it actually looks very realistic. I'm really happy with it. So before we start actually putting our card together, I want to show you the rest of the pieces that I cut. I've got a couple of layers of grass, so I just want to go ahead and ink those tips of the grass too so that they match the other green that's going to be in the card. Wanted to use like a consistent green color for the bushes, the tree, and the grass. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I think. Make sure I got enough on this one. A couple of spots. Doing the tips of the grass like this really gives it a cool effect when you're layering it. So it is kind of handy just to take the extra minute to do it. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to do for the house, wanted to go ahead and use a brad for the doorknob because the little hole that it cut is so small, and I have this little coppery brown brad that I think will be really nice looking with it. And I also went ahead this week and purchased myself the brad setter from We Are Memory Keepers, and I am so glad I did. I can punch a little hole anywhere I want it now, which is so handy. So I'm just going to go ahead and punch a little hole right through the whole die cut and insert my brad. I don't so much use it for setting the brads, but for putting the holes, and it's so handy now to be able to put a hole anywhere I want to, and also know that it's going to be lined up. I used to make a little mark and then I'd go back with my hole punch, and never fails it would get off-centered or it wouldn't be quite where I wanted it. So there we have it, our little brad for the doorknob. Okay, so it's time to put our card together. I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be our sky base. It's going to be the main layer of the card. I want to figure out where I want my grass, and I did punch a little fence here, so sometimes it looks pretty to kind of wedge the fence in between the grass, like so. And then the tree is going to sit over here. I cut the tree at 4 inches, so most of the tree will be hidden behind the house, but I kind of wanted it to be seen in the background, like so. So that looks super nice. I love that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get our grass adhered down and our fence. I think this is going to be one of my favorite cards I've made in a long time. I love my scene cards, love to make little outdoor scenes, and this tree is really cool on here because I don't have any trees quite like it. I have a lot of trees on cartridges, but nothing quite like that. So I'm pretty excited to have that tree too. Just doing some ATG, and I'm just going to line up this fence right flush with the bottom of the card. Okay, and then we've got one more layer of grass here. Okay, and that will just go ahead and line up with the bottom. I kind of measured these out about 1/4 of an inch apart all the way down, so we just have to trim off the ends here. Just do that carefully. Quite thick because it's got the 3 layers of paper. Okay, perfect. Now for my tree, I just want to adhere that down flat, so we're just going to use some ATG, and like I said, a lot of it's going to be hidden, so we don't even have to get that much on there. We'll just go ahead and run that down. So I wanted it right about there. Okay. And then the other thing I want to do is make some clouds, and I have these 2 Fiskars punches. I love them. So we're just going to go ahead and punch out a few clouds here for my sky. I'm going to do like 3 big ones and 3 little ones, or maybe 2 little ones. Not even sure how many are going to fit, so we'll just start with that many. Okay. Now the fence I made with the Martha Stewart border punch, as well as the grass. This is like, those are probably my two favorite punches. And if you have that and the grass and then the two cloud punches, you can make practically any scene you would ever want to. So what I want to do is lay this down here because my sentiment is going to go on one of the clouds. So I kind of want to see how I want to lay these clouds out. I want a couple of them like a little bit off of the card. Do it like that. I think that will look really nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is just flip these over, use the zig, and make our little scene. Okay. I hate when gray marks get on the paper. Not really sure where they come from, but I'm picky. Okay. Just get that one. And it's nice when you're creating a scene to make some of it go off of the picture and just cut the edges off, because it kind of gives the appearance that your scene keeps going, that you're only looking at like a portion of it, of what's out there. So I like that effect. Okay, get that little cloud adhered down. Must be something black on my actual tweezer. I have to clean those again. So it keeps getting black stuff all over my clouds. Okay. I hold them when I'm doing a lot of embossing and stuff, so I think that's what's happening. But the pickup square is good about getting like little gray marks off your paper, as well as any kind of extra adhesive. Okay, so what we want to do next is flip this over and cut off the clouds that were off the edge of the card base. Well, actually our matte piece. And just going to go ahead and do that quick. And really all I did was I designed the thing in my gypsy. That took me about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to save it, so if I ever want to make this particular card again, I can without any problem. And then I also just cut up my paper and did the Cricut cutting, so that was the only prep work that I did, so aside from this video. So the card really isn't that bad to make. Now our sentiment we're going to be using from Scrappy Mom Stamp Simple Sentiments. It says congrats, and I thought that that would be nice enough without getting into any more detail than that. That I think it's pretty obvious if there's a house on the front of it that it's for like a housewarming party. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Memento brown ink, and I'm going to stamp this on the cloud. That's what I like to do with scene cards when I'm doing a sky, is I go ahead and stamp my sentiment usually like right on the cloud, and it looks really cool that way. I'm using Memento Rich Cocoa ink, and I like to really ink mine up. I like to make sure I get a good dark impression the first time around. And I hold it a few seconds so it can really stick to the paper. And as you can see, that's very bold, so that's how I like to do mine. Another nice thing about Memento ink is there's hardly anything left on your stamp when you're done. Now that this is done, the next thing we're going to do is adhere this whole layer to the card base before we start putting our house in place, because the house is going to be on foam adhesive. I wanted it to be popped up a little bit so that it looks like it's in the foreground of everything else. This is kind of going to be heavy, so I wanted to do an extra strip in the middle. And this is only 1/8 of an inch smaller, so I have to be really careful lining this up straight. I find it easier to put my card straight on my craft mat grid and then really try to look for 3 sides being lined up perfectly, and then usually the 4th side would be too when you're done. And hopefully, yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so we set that down, and because this is going to be so heavy, even though it's paper tray ink, and I normally don't need another insert in the middle, this is quite a heavy card, so I wanted to go ahead and put a glue mat on the inside layer too. The other thing that's nice sometimes is to build a little gift card holder right into your card, especially if you're going to be giving it as a gift, a little gift card with it for like a new home, like maybe to Home Depot or something like that. You can just build a little pocket right inside. And this one did not go on right. It's hard to line things up exactly right sometimes. So we just have to start over, and luckily with ATG, if you're getting at it pretty quickly, you can usually lift it. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay, next is just our house. And we're going to just set that up on foam squares so it looks like it's setting up in the front. And I just make my own homemade foam squares. I got the idea from Janice at Cricketology, and she goes ahead and makes hers using fun foam, and you just cut it into strips. And I have a hard time getting these things off because I don't have nails. But anyways, you just cut it into strips, and then you get the self-adhesive kind, and then you run the opposite side through your sticker maker, like your Xyron sticker maker, and then you easily have a double-sided foam squares that you can cut into whatever sizes you want. And it's really nice, and it's not quite as thick as the foam squares usually are. It's a little bit thinner, so it's kind of nicer for mailing sometimes, and it's very sticky, so it's a really good way to do it. And it's quite cheap because you can get like, I don't know, 10 or 12 rows of it that's like 11 inches long from one package, so it's a good deal. And I'm putting a lot because I always do. I like my cards to be very sturdy, so that's why I put so much. Okay. And I'm thinking just one more to fill in that other blank spot. Okay. Get rid of that trash. Make sure I got the sticky off my hands. Okay. And this is about it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and line my house up here in the corner and just press it down nice. And this was the advantage of having the little fence, because now you can see the yard with the fence on both sides of the house. The house is up in the foreground. You can see most of the tree. You don't really need to see the base of the tree, but you can tell that there's a big tree in the backyard. And then you've got your little clouds. The only other thing I'm going to do probably is just a little bit of stitch lines around my clouds. I like to just accent them more with a blue pen. Other than that, this card's complete. This was quite a cut, but I think this card turned out so cute, and I really like it, and I think anybody would love to get that one if they bought a new house. And I just love this house cut. I mean, it looks so realistic, and I really, really like it. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.